in the front group of white tops. Such a tight circuit here at Skegness should provide plenty of action for these Formula Ones. They've been limited, or they've had limited outings here at Skegness in the past due to BriSCA's policy of restricting Formula Ones to a certain number of circuits, but they're getting expanded this year with the decline of BriSCA tracks. This is the first of several Formula One meetings scheduled for the Vince Moody tracks this year, and we've got the spin out already. Stu Smith 139 getting involved, Ray Tilsley behind him, number 85, yellow top also called out there, number 25, Don Buddin. All sorting themselves out there, but one or two hopes dashed there on the opening lap. Butterfield the leader, 210. The yellow flags are out to indicate the danger there on the track. Looks like they're all okay. 213, Des Chandler's spun out as well. We'll see him just getting back into the race there, spinning around this circuit, just getting caught by the fence. As the leader comes through, Brian Butterfield, 210. Well, Butterfield in the white car with the red markings. Out in front, 210. In front of him, Ray Tilsley, but that's one of the men that was caught in that shove along with Stu Smith, 139. Chesterfield-based blue top. There's chasing field, Harry Smith, Jimmy Smith as well, also in there, Terry Jackson, back in action after last year's injury, heading for the infield there, though, going down the home straight. Mo Smith there, 51. There's mystery that he's still a blue top. One of the very best drivers about, certainly on the Midland circuits, just doesn't get enough meetings to go up to red top status. Butterfield first, we've got 310 in second place, Paddy Byrne. Behind him, 446, Steve Booth. Then we have Paul Allen, who was one of the guys who crashed earlier, so he's presumably a lap down. Harry Smith looks to be the leading red top at the moment. Des Chandler's found his way into the fence again in 213. A couple of flat tyres on the offside there. And an obstacle to the cars as they come through. Now we have Paddy Byrne taking it up, 310. Don't see him too often down here at Skegness. More regularly known at the northern circuits such as Bellevue. In fact, Butterfield's still there, 210 out in front. It's 310 Paddy Byrne in second. So that's the race for first, second and third with 446 Steve Booth up there. Then we have Harry Smith, Frankie Wainman, and then Mo Smith. Ray Tilsley a fair way down now after losing that lap. Butterfield then leads from Paddy Byrne. Paddy Byrne, one of the few Irish drivers in BriSCA Formula One, finding the line on the inside of Butterfield and just cutting through there. So it's now 310 who leads. Butterfield pulling the bumper in though. Brave move for a white top. Trying to bumper the man out of the way. They normally give up and just drift out once they're overtaken, but Butterfield retaliating there on Byrne, with himself going wide there, and that could let Booth through in 446, get another white top. Harry Smith there, number 100 on the tail end of that leading pack. The top red top here, Dan Clark's on his tail in 203, followed by Mo Smith in 51 as the mayhem reigns on their home straight. Jimmy Smith, 82 there, being taken out by Byrne. I don't think Byrne needed too much there. Smith helping himself in the tyre going across the track. Smith causing quite an obstacle there for Paddy Byrne, but he's holding up Brian Butterfield. Frankie Wainman there, finding a couple of slow-moving cars in front of him, just bumpering them out the way. Behind him, Harry Smith getting caught there by, looked like 82 Jimmy Smith. Butterfield now having been pushed down the field, is getting edged out by Harry Smith. Wainman's up into second now in 212, national points champion in Formula successive years. Paddy Byrne out in front. So it's Byrne from Wainman, and how long will the Irishman be able to hold out the Yorkshireman? Wainman from Silsden near Keighley in Yorkshire. Jimmy Smith on the infield, he's certainly been in the wars in this race. Been keeping out of them at the moment, going for the grass. Wainman now hits the front. Well, where's the challenge for Frankie going to come from? In second place, Paddy Byrne. Third place is Harry Smith. Could be an interesting one. You just see Smith drifting past there. Dan Clark's right behind him in 203. Then there's a fair gap down to the rest of the Reds with Ray Tilsley a lap down. Well, there goes the race leader, Frankie Wainman, into the back markers now. Paddy Byrne losing ground, waiting for Harry Smith to come through. In fact, he's already gone. Ray Tilsley going through. Well, of course, a lap down. Those are the red tops in this race. Wainman, of course, status above red, racing under the silver roof for the points champion. 2 laps to go now in Heat 1 of the Formula Ones in this World Championship qualifier. Wainman now going past Jimmy Smith again. Dave Atkinson has been getting some excess wheel spin, certainly been squealing around the track. Behind him, Harry Smith, and I don't think that the Hurricane's going to be able to catch up. Behind Smith, though, it's Dan Clark. Looks like we're going to have star drivers or at the very least in first, second and third, with now a clear run for Harry Smith on Frankie Wainman. But Wainman hasn't got far to go. The checkered flag's coming out. Wainman's safe. Coming off the pit turn, Frankie Wainman wins heat 1 here at Skegness. Second place goes to Harry Smith in number 100. And third place goes to Dan Clark in 2:03. Quite a race there as the Reds worked their way through the field. Dan Clark following Harry Smith all the way, couldn't get through for the second place, but Frankie Wainman had left them. He came from behind them on the grid to win there in heat 1 by a convincing margin of something like 40 yards. So the cars set off now on the rolling lap for heat 2. Quite a field of white tops out there at the start of this 86th season on the East Coast. 1 or 2 new drivers, certainly a couple of men that I haven't seen before. Well, there indeed is John Kaiser. I think a lot of people have given up hope of seeing Kaiser back on the track. Known as the budget racer, has a pretty cheap outfit there, but it's effective. His brother Alan, still a Superstocks driver with Speedwith. 29 Ian Higgins, our old friend there, going past in a newly painted car. Looks like he's lost last year's sponsorship, unfortunately. Out in front, 2 white tops. 336, new name to me, Patrick Nortcliffe from Sheffield. Alongside him, 181, Gary Walker from Rotherham. And it's Nortcliffe who gets the break as Walker is a little slow there on the throttle. The green flag's down and the race is underway. You can see the tarmac getting a bit patchy here at Skegness, as is the infield as those 2 cars go across it. Well, they're certainly learning how to put the elbow in the early stage. Metaphorically, of course. It's difficult to do in a car. Well, the whites sorting themselves out as they go down into the turn. Looks like our early leader's been held back. No, in fact, Nortcliffe has made the break in 336. Second place, we have 134. And that white top is Wally Pissam, just getting a rear end there from 181, Gary Walker. As he spun out off the line, we've got a couple of cars piled up on the outside of the second turn, couple on the infield as well. 459, Chris Paxford, along with, just trying to get the number of that car, looks, yes, it's number 294, I think it was, John Toulson. More pile up there, 76 in the fence, along with 411, Phil Wheelson, and a tyre, one of the marker tyres off the infield, rolling across the track. And the leader, Nortcliffe, just avoiding it, but that's going off the racing line now, safely drifting out of the way. But if anyone goes wide on that turn, they'll find that tyre pretty fast. Well, Bobby Burns has found his way onto the infield, new sponsorship from Floxton Plant Tyre, who used to sponsor the now retired Andy Stott. Incidentally, that car is now in the hands of John Thorpe, 433, who I think is somewhere out there here in heat 2. There's the man that got called earlier, of course, John Dowson, 294, not Toulson. Dave Mellor, 304. In that Ford engine car, one of the more robust Formula 1 racers. The Red Sox gradually working their way through. Kays is being left somewhat. There's a pile up there though, and Burns folding, and the others getting caught up there. We also have the race leader, I think, in there. Or am I getting confused by green cars? 412 Dave Tapping going into the fence, along with 64, one of the white top drivers. So problems there for Tapping, the March Bodies team leader. Oh, there's the leader taking a man out, 511. Peter Hall from Skipton getting spun out. And now there goes Kaiser through, 495. The yellow flags are out. And I think Kaiser may have taken the lead there as he went past 336 Nortcliffe. It looks that way at the moment. Kaiser, it appears to be the leader. Oh, indeed, confirmation still there that 336 remains as the leader, just getting information through from race control. Kaiser breaking away from the man who's out in front, but now Ainsworth coming through, 354. Car's getting thrown out of sync a little bit by that pile-up in the early stages. 1 or 2 men losing a lap. Looks like Ainsworth has taken up the lead now, number 354, unless he's trying to unlap himself. It's resembling more like a banger race there in heat 2, and the car's getting well and truly sorted out in the early stages. Try and see what will start the Steve Markham signals. It looks like Ainsworth leads, 354, given the signal. There's the former leader taken out there, Nortcliffe. Getting back into the race along with 383, the yellow top driver there. Well, it's the tarmac specialist, Richard Ainsworth from Ulverston in Cumbria, who leads in heat 2. Just getting a rear end shunt from Kev Lowe. Also up there we have Murray Harrison, number 97. Looking down the field as well, we have Mount Mitchell, 322, 304 Dave Mellor. those are the cars realistically in with a chance. Murray Harrison advertising that car for sale. There's our race leader in that beefy looking Formula One, Richard Ainsworth. Northwood taken out there by 383 once more. And the novice driver, as you can see from the black crosses, putting himself quite well though here in Heat 2. Led for quite a while before getting caught by the field. There's Ainsworth, our race leader, 354. The infield littered with wrecked cars. Mellor's moving up all the time in 304. Got to watch out for him. But Ainsworth, once he's in the lead on a tarmac track, isn't often shaken off that. There's Kaiser getting involved in that pack there. Northcliffe still having a rough race and indeed getting caught by the leader. Pushed into the back of John Dowson, who's had a rough ride in this one. 384. Looks like Pete Johnson getting caught up on a tyre. Well, we're in the closing stages now of this race, and Murray Harrison's now taken up the lead in 97. Just been re-overtaken though by Richard Ainsworth. Harrison in second, Dave Mellors in third, Malcolm Nietzsche's in fourth. There's the race leader in the closing stages of this race now, and can Ainsworth hold on? He already had the race taken away from him momentarily by Harrison, but 97's back in second now. Kev Lowe going out into the fence. That's another one of the troublemakers, you might say, getting pushed out of it. Bobby Burns also in the wires on that turn. Ainsworth now just has to hold on. He's got to watch out for Harrison. They're closing in. And there it is, the checkered flag. And Ainsworth holds on for the win there in Heat 2. Second place goes to number 97, Murray Harrison. Third place to 304, Dave Mellor. Well, another lap, we could have had a classic finish to that race as it was. Ainsworth held on, with Murray Harrison taking the lead with 2 laps to go. It wasn't for long, though, before Ainsworth was back through. And the Tarmac King wins Heat 2 here at Skegness. Richard Ainsworth. Well, we're getting strong sunlight here at Skegness, as you can see with the reflections off the roof of the cars. Beautiful sunny day. If only it wasn't for the high-speed winds, it'd be a lovely spring afternoon here at Skegness. You can see the wind there with that flag fluttering on the starter's rostrum. Good job it's not a shale track, otherwise the crowd will be covered by now. There you can see it. The flag flying in the breeze here at Skegness Stadium. So Heat 3 now for the Formula Ones in this World Championship qualifier. Yes, the long road to Coventry starts here. The 86 Formula One final set for Brandon Stadium. Later on in the year, I think it's the first Saturday in September this year. 53, John Lund, one of the top-rated drivers in this one, along with 452, Joe Jopling, in fact, the only red tops in this. Leading them off, it's 174, Dave Eccles, John Padgett behind him. Then we have Glenn Daft in 96. Blue tops coming through there, difficult to pick them up with the sunlight. There at the back, 53, John Lund in a marquee car now, along with Joe Jopling. Marquee Building Supplies, one of the major sponsors of Formula One racing. You can see the advert there on the side of the Lund machine. Dave Eccles out in front in 174. See how long he can hold on to this handicap. The red tops already working their way through the field, so I think we could see Jopling putting pressure on Eccles inside the next couple of laps. Well, there's the front 6 cars, 6 to 7 cars. The front 2 white tops started pulling away. Just saw the 2 red tops going through on the other side of the track. Waiting for them to come down the straight now. Eccles coming under pressure from his fellow white top now as they go past the starter. It's Eccles out in front. Glenn Duff, the ex-Long Eaton Bomber driver, in second place. Third place, number 113, yellow top driver Russell Humphrey from Preston. Duff going for the infield over the tyres and losing out now on second. Humphrey up into second now in 113. So it's the white top leading from the yellow. And Humphrey just looking for the gap on the inside of Eccles, who moves that wide oversteers there, and Humphrey's through. Moving up for second place now, number 216, Graham France. John Wright, an early casualty there with a flat tyre on the offside back. It's now then 113 out in front. Russell Humphrey, second place, Graham France, then Glenn Daft. Then we have Phil Haig, 454, then Joe Jopling, followed by now number 53, John Lund. Although we see the 2 red tops coming through, they're up into the top 6 placings now. And in fact, Jopling is now 5th, going up to 4th as he goes past Glenn Daft. Is dropping out of the reckoning now. Graham France putting pressure on the leader, going through on the inside of the pit turn to take up the lead now. Graham France, the Yorkshireman, out in front. France, one of the big race winners at Bradford last year in the big money races. Of course, Bradford out of action this year with the Bradford City football team playing at Odsal. It means that there's no stock car racing at Odsal this year. Fixtures being switched across to Vince Moody's track at Cleethorpes, getting Formula 1 for the first time. So there's first and second, but the race is developing further down the field between the two red tops. There we have John Lund with the wing in place for 86, and indeed he's just thrown off the challenger Joe Jopling. Lund now moving up to third place. Jopling is fourth, Daft is fifth, Haig sixth. Then we have Richard Pratt, number 162 behind him. Mick Stecco spinning out, just getting back into the race, but losing speed there. So the cars come down the home straight as we wait to see the leader. There it is, 216, driven by Graham France, going past Mick Crocker, one of the stars of the opening months last year. Rose from white top to blue top on the first grading, settled down as a yellow towards the end of the year. There's the red top of John Lund coming through the field. John from Clitheroe in Lancashire, and going past the back markers now. He's now taking on Crocker. Lund up into second place now. Graham France first, John Lund second, third place Russell Humphrey now, fourth Joe Jopling, in fifth it is now Glenn Daft going past Les Spencer, who's slowing down quite a bit now, but the question is now, how long can Graham France hold on to this lead as the pressure comes in from the red tops. Lund has got France in his sights now. France just moving up on Mark Carrington in 271 last year's white top, up to yellow now. He's put one back marker between him and John Lund. There goes Lund. So now Lund against France. Looks like Jopling's doing a bit of work now to get past Russell Humphrey, but dropping behind actually as the front two start breaking away. Graham France, they're battling with the wheel. Very large wheels on these Formula 1 cars, angled in the direction of travel. So we have 216 from 53. Graham France leading. We've had a silver top and a red top win so far. We haven't seen anything from the lower grades. Can France do it here in Heat 3? This is the last of the qualifying heats, bar the Consolation, of course, for the meeting grand final. Then the checkered flag is coming out now, and it looks like this is the last turn coming up for Graham France. And indeed, that was already out. Yes, in fact, they caught us unawares there. A win for 216, Graham France, apologies there. Second place to 53, John Lund. And third place, it looked like on the line, went to Joe Jopling. But obviously we overstepped that race by a lap. That's subject to confirmation. That 1, 2, 3 again. Graham France, the first lower grade winner, a blue top winner of Heat 3. Second, John Lund in 53. And third, unofficially in 452, Joe Jopling. Now you can see that the Skegness Stadium and this World Championship qualifying round for the Formula 1 stock cars. Well, we apologise for the rain on the camera lens. Unfortunately, with the driving rain, it's short of fitting windscreen wipers, so there's not a lot we can do. But we're going to keep going with the Consolation here. Hopefully we'll be able to see as much as we can in the prevailing weather. I can tell you it is like a tropical storm out there at the moment, bucketing down. Unfortunately blowing straight at the cameras at the present time. Ray Bird going onto the green in the early stages of this Consolation race. The yellow flag's going out. That's if the marshals can hold them. Almost being ripped from their hands at the present time. Looks like that's our race leader, number 336, Pat Nortcliffe. This is the last chance for the drivers to qualify for the final. These are the non-qualifiers from the first 3 heats. 8 have qualified for the final so far from each race, with another 8 qualifying from this Consolation race. You can see the driving rain across the lens there of that camera. So Nortcliffe 336, we presume to be the leader at the present time. It's been difficult for these drivers to see where they're going when they go up the back straight. That's the way the rain's coming. Ray Bird getting back into things after going onto the infield earlier on. Well, after the beautiful sunshine of not so long ago here at Skegness, the weather really turning foul. Yes, you can tell that spring has just started. The heavens opening. Well, it's Norcliffe out in front. That, I presume, to be the second place man, Jimmy Smith, 82. Halfway flag being readied now by the starter, Steve Markham. And who's going to show that flag to? It looks like it is going to go out to 336. And indeed it does. It goes out to Pat Norcliffe in 336. The green car there in your picture. And it's Mark Carrington who's up there in 271, I think in third. Jimmy Smith in second, and Carrington now has taken second. They're half a lap behind the race leader. And this Consolation proving to be a fairly damp squib. Most of the action coming down in the lower positions. Bobby Burns onto the infield there, over the tyres, straight to the side of, I think, Terry Jackson's car, a 485. So Burns making up a couple of places there via the infield. Of course, the legitimate racing line if your block's on the actual track. You're avoiding trouble. And we're coming into the closing stages now of this Consolation race, and it looks like Norcliffe is well clear. It's a long way down to second place. Mo Smith's moved up. I think he could be in second now, in 51. A crash there. It looks like Chris Paxford has found himself a tyre. It could be Phil Wheelton. No, I think that's Paxford. No, in fact, it's Phil Wheelton finding himself a spare wheel. Also getting in trouble, 383. And the track getting pretty sticky now as the mud mixes with the rain now falling. A bit of mud brought onto the track from the infield. Bobby Burns looks like he could be in a qualifying position now for the final. Hopefully this will clear in time for the major races later on. Norcliffe putting the bumper in on the blue top. He certainly does seem to know what to do with that bumper. A lot of the novice drivers seem to hang back on that kind of thing. Burns now closing in though in 471. Burns up there, I think, in second place, and Norcliffe oversteers. And there it is, Burns goes through, Higgins follows. Norcliffe finding his way into the fence at the moment. And Bobby Burns, I think it is, who's taken up the lead. 2 laps to go. Yellow top ending up on the infield, down by the starter. So 2 laps to go now in this race. Looks like Bobby Burns has first. We'll tell now as the last lap board comes out. I think it might be going out to Mo Smith. And indeed it does. It's 51 Mo Smith who leads. So on the final lap, Mo Smith is first and Burns the fair way down. He did take out the man we thought was leading, but Norcliffe had been overhauled by Mo Smith, and it's Bobby Burns' fellow Southerner who's going to win this Consolation race. The checkered flag comes out. It's a win for the Aveley driver, number 51, Mo Smith, here in the Consolation race. Very heavily rain-affected race there. Mo Smith wins. Second place, Bobby Burns. And it looks like third place went to Graham Blundell, 156. That's the unofficial result of the Formula One Consolation. And let's take a look at that 1, 2, 3 again. First, Mo Smith, 51. Second, Bobby Burns, 471. A Southern 1-2 there. And third place, it was Graham Blundell in 156. Incidentally, a change to that mini-stocks result. In second place, it was Andy Turner. In third place, it was Phil Woodall, yes. Mark Woodall was a lap down. That's correcting that mini-stocks result. Well, the news from race control is that Mo Smith has been docked 1 place by straying onto the centre green to overtake the race leader, Norcliffe, which means now that Bobby Burns is awarded the race win in the Consolation race. Mo Smith is marked down to second place, and third place goes to Graham Blundell. So Bobby Burns, in fact, the official winner of the Consolation race. Mini tarmac track here at Skegness now for the final of this Formula One World Championship qualifying round. Very strong field of Reds, obviously attracted out for the World Championship points. These qualifying rounds build up points for the drivers, and those points then determine the placings on the semi-final grids, and indeed whether a driver indeed qualifies for the semis. And then from there, of course, it's on to the World Final at Coventry. So the whites lead them off, and it is 446 who leads out at the start, Steve Booth. Murray Harrison putting pressure on the yellows there. Les Spence behind him. John Wright getting caught up. That's let the gap through on the inside as Harrison goes round. The 3 cars caught together. Race leader Booth well clear there. Moving in now on John Russell in 140, back marker. Second place we have in 336 the Consolation qualifier, Pat Norcliffe. John Lund just clouting the fence post there. That's virtually where Des Chandler, I think, ripped it out. So there's our race leader, and there, in fact, Lund has found his way into the fence. He seems to be having some problems there with the steering. He went into the fence in the home straight. He's done it again there, going into the turn. There's Frankie Wainman. Behind him, Bobby Burns. Then Peter Faulding, 33. Faulding with a fairly quiet meeting so far, steadily getting in the points in his heat. Steve Booth out in front, 446. And there, the car of John Lund, John Case pulling up alongside him. Murray Harrison just getting back into the race. Looks like the drive shaft hanging off the Lund car there. Or something hanging off to the underside. Doesn't look like it's quite as bad as that. He's still under power. But all kinds of problems there for John Lund. John Case is pulled up on the infield. Will Warren's also hitting problems, number 91. Reversing his way back into the fence, out of the way of the line of racing as the cars come through. The yellow's out with these cars parked up in the fence. Dan Clark, another victim on this slippery circuit now. Another car going in there, Graham France. Helped in by Harry Smith. Murray Harrison reversing around the track now. Ian Higgins coming through, Malcolm Leach just in front of him on the outside. Mo Smith, there's Graham France getting back into it, along with Bobby Burns. In front, Malcolm Leach, there as Frankie Wainman forces his way through. Steve Booth still out in front, the 446 car, well clear of the action at the moment. John Thorpe apparently in second place. 113 in third. Dave Mellon's got caught up with the yellow top there. Looks like Paddy Byrne, 310. There's our race leader, Steve Booth. He's well clear of the action at the moment. John Thorpe, I think, has got second place at the present time. Also up there, Russell Humphrey. John Wright. John Russell's a lap down. Murray Harrison also, I think. Frankie Wainman leading the charge of the superstar drivers. Behind him, Peter Faulding. Dan Clark hit problems earlier, and with several cars having been stationary earlier on, it's difficult to tell who's actually in the race and who's a lap down. Vella certainly isn't. He's in front of Russell Humphrey at the moment, just behind John Thorpe. That, though, is our leader. 446, Steve Booth. Newcomer to Formula One, certainly. I haven't seen too much of him before. Something of a well-sponsored car for a newcomer. Very smartly turned out, white top at the front. Moving it on Ian Higgins now on the back markers. Murray Harrison's doing a lovely, graceful slide down the centre green out of the shot, but it's been a difficult day for him. Booth now going through on the inside of 383. He's got Rich Dainsworth in his sights. The yellow flag going out again, and the track, which is drying out now, is catching these drivers out. They must have the wrong tyres on, but they have changed. Today, of course, for several of these drivers started out in beautifully dry conditions. Then we had the downpour during the Consolation. Now the track drying out once more. And Steve Booth still out in front here in this Formula One final. And the halfway flag going out. In second place, I think, is given to Frankie Wainman. Third place now, Peter Faulding. Dan Clark's behind him. I think he could be a lap down. Bobby Burns is also up there. Ray Tilsley with his double aerofoil. Might catch up with that later on. Richard Ainsworth, I think, is out of the picture. It's still Steve Booth out in front. And Frankie Wainman's dropped back. Peter Faulding's now taken up second, or maybe Dan Clark. I did see Clark stationary earlier. Richard Pratt reversing into the fence. Just getting back into the race as Paddy Byrne comes underneath him. There's Wainman getting attention from Tilsley. You just see the double spoiler there as the former Formula 2 man drives through on the inside of Wainman, and Frankie is slowing down there. He does not look too happy at all. And Dan Clark giving the signal for second place, it would appear at the present time. May even be first. I can't see Booth at the moment. And indeed, Booth has been pushed down the field. It looks like Peter Faulding. And indeed, it's Peter Faulding who leads. Second place, Ray Tilsley, then Frankie Wainman. Yes, Steve Booth dropping down the field now, and in fact, I think it's pulled out. No, indeed, he's still in there, but behind John Thorpe. So it's Faulding, Tilsley and Wayman fighting it out now for the first 3 places in this World Championship round. Tilsley's through. Ray Tilsley, the butcher from Lancashire. Literally. Ray Tilsley out in front. Comes from Preston. Second place, Frankie Wayman getting a shunt there from Peter Faulding. Ian Higgins taking a trip out into the fence along with Richard Ainsworth. Surprised to see the Cumbrian not showing up too well in this final. Looks like Ray Tilsley could take this race. Peter Faulding's up there as well. Second place, Frankie Wayman, the points champion, looking for a heat and final double. Going past Mo Smith, the back marker. Coming into the closing stages of this race now. What a fascinating one here. And there he goes, Smith hooked up on the car. That's got him out of the way, the back marker. Ray Tilsley against Frankie Wayman now for the race. The points champion goes through on the inside. Also up there, Peter Faulding. Harry Smith onto the infield. But that race for first, second and third heating up now. It's still Peter Faulding out in front. Second place, Ray Tilsley. Third place is Wayman. And the youngster from Rotherham seizing the initiative on the inside of the Tilsley and Wayman cars to drive through. Now Tilsley's back in front. And Faulding back to third, lost it coming out of that turn. Indeed, slowing down now. Wayman back into second. Ray Tilsley leads in 85. No, see him going down into the turn. Tilsley first, 2 laps to go now. Wayman second, Faulding third. It's a long way down the fourth. And really, it's just between these 3 drivers. Looks like we're in for a fine last lap coming up. Peter Faulding leads. In fact, no, Faulding was dropped back to third. It's Tilsley who leads. And Wayman's now making a move on Tilsley onto the grass there, trying to find a way through War of the Roses here. Lancastrian against Yorkshireman. There goes the bumper from Wayman, and it's put Tilsley out. But no, Wayman's fouled himself up. There's Faulding through for the win. A classic race there. Peter Faulding first. Second place, Ray Tilsley. Third place, Frankie Wayman. Wayman put the bumper in, but caught himself as well as Tilsley. And, well, Faulding just hung on in there and got the win, driving through on the inside in number 33, as Tilsley and Wayman fouled each other up on that turn. Wayman having to settle for third place, Ray Tilsley getting second, but first place going to Peter Faulding in the grand final here at Skegness. So this, the all-comers race, the Grand National qualifying round. Any driver able to get his car out on the track in time up to the limit number of cars can race. And it does mean that the final winner is on a 1-lap handicap. He goes at the front of the field, but there's a lap down. And there we see him, Peter Faulding, with an extra lap to make up on this Skegness circuit. And quite a few cars to work his way through. I don't think somehow we'll be seeing a heat and final, or rather a final and Grand National double here at Skegness today. Tends to happen with about 20 cars on the track, unless your name happens to be Smith. Also, I refer to Stuart Smith, the world champion, who unfortunately wasn't here at Skegness today, despite picking up some sponsorship from Vince Moody for this season. I don't know why Stuart's not racing. Mind you, he does tend to pick and choose these days, and, well, he can afford to. Green flag goes down then. Faulding leads them off, but he is a lap down. The actual race leader is the man behind him. Dave Eccles, 174, almost taking Faulding out in the first turn. Once more a difficult track. We've had another downpour since the last race, when the local promoter Vince Moody put on a hot rod demonstration with 4 cars. Don't think it's won over the committed BriSCA fans. John Kaiser getting caught up there with Stu Smith, 139. Also, if there are any casual viewers watching wondering about that, there are in fact 2 Stuart Smiths racing. Dave Eccles, 174. Richard Ainsworth already right in his tail in 354. And Faulding hasn't done much really about making up that handicap. Looks like someone's caught the tyre there, and it's Les Spencer, number 98. Phil Haig with problems, having clouted the barrier. Just slowing down, trying to get back in. So it is Dave Eccles, 174, who leads. And indeed, in fact, slipping through for first place, Graham France, there, number 216, just coming in division. And there we have him. Graham France from Liversedge in West Yorkshire, leading Dave Eccles, who's from Leeds. Yorkshire first and second then in this Grand National race. Well, Graham France, the winner of the third heat, but in fact now slipping back into second as Eccles has regained the lead. Just seeing there the red car with the white roof. And this white top certainly showing up well here in this Grand National. Peter Faulding never really getting to grips with this race, and quite a chicane developing now on that turn. We've got John Wright on the inside. The white top spinning out on the outside, looks like Glenn Daft. Wright's back under power now as Graham France tries to put the bumper in on Dave Eccles. It looks like there's Chandler in front of them, 2-1-3, indeed it is. And slipping through, Graham France back into the lead. Well, France goes wide there. It looked like he was trying to take Chandler out, and Eccles has spun back in, but now being spun out by France. Well, settling into second, it looks like Ray Tilsley coming through now. Eccles deposited onto the infield. He's out of contention now. Graham France maintaining the lead here. He held out John Lund and Joe Jopling in his heat. He seems to have his problems, though, on the turn. Certainly on that bend. Ray Tilsley not too far behind. Difficult to sort out which drivers are actually on the same lap as the leader. With several problems earlier on. France there negotiating the pit turn, trying to remove Peter Faulding out of his way. Faulding racing for double points in this Grand National race as the final winner on the handicap. So it's still Graham France out in front. I think Frankie Wayman's coming up into the points now. Try and pick up the positions as France comes down the straight, just chasing Dan Clark there. France leads in 2-1-6. Peter Faulding behind him as a lap down. 85, Ray Tilsley. Might well be. John Lund's up there in 53. I suspect Frankie Wayman is up in the top positions now. Bobby Burns is up there with him as John Dowse has executed another turn. Another 180-degree turn. On the bend, Dave Miller in view there, number 304. Car getting impaled on the ropes there. Yellow top, can't see him from this angle. Oh, and there, Dan Clark getting caught by Peter Faulding. Marvellous final race that was between Faulding and Tilsley and Wayman, but not being repeated here. Getting sent out into the fence, Dave Atkinson, number 334. So we have Graham France in first place, Malcolm Nietzschel coming together there with Glenn Daft on the entry to the turn. The yellows going out again for the hard work flank marshals, and there John Lund shrugging off Ray Tilsley. On the outside of them, Dan Clark just avoiding that 174 car. Tilsley puts the bumper in now on Lund. And it would appear now that John Lund has first place. Let's try and pick it up. It goes down in front of the starter. Yes, I think France has lost it. John Lund leads as far as we can make out. I think we've lost Graham France. Lund out in front, so that bumper work with lead. And the checkered flag comes out. It's a win for John Lund here amidst the chaos of an action-packed Grand National final. Well, that brings to a close the racing here at Skegness, and also brings to a close this series of stock car racing. Now, the situation is we're going to take a break now, and we'll be back on Wednesday, May the 7th, with the first of our weekly programs under a new title, Short Circuit Racing. Now, as the title implies, we're changing the policy somewhat regarding these programs. We're going to be varying the racing a little more. We have had numerous requests from viewers in the south of England and in the non-BriSCA strongholds for increased coverage of their forms of short circuit racing, such as the hot rods, bangers, super stocks, and the like. Well, the answer that we're coming up with is the fact that we are going to be splitting our short circuit racing program amongst various different forms of motorsport during the summer months. Don't worry, BriSCA fans, it's still going to be BriSCA racing in there, both Formula 1 and Formula 2. There's also going to be racing from the IMPG circuits, such as Hensford Raceway and the in-car race circuits and the Speedworth tracks. But there's also going to be a mixture of kart racing brought in on a regular basis. Now, this is going to be the format for the summer months, and we hope that you enjoy the new series of short circuit racing, which will be commencing once more on Wednesday, the 7th of May. So that's our coverage for the summer. Those are our plans. We're trying to be as varied as possible in our choice of meetings to present before you here on Screen Sport. We hope that you approve of it. I know that a lot of the BriSCA fans will be disappointed after 2 solid seasons of BriSCA coverage, but I'm sure that they can appreciate that it's about time that the others got a look in. But don't forget, BriSCA will still be in there, and indeed I think the first short circuit program will be the opening meeting from Coventry of this 1986 season. So on behalf of the crew and myself, Rob McCaffrey, we hope you've enjoyed this series of stock car racing, and we hope that you approve of the new format that will be coming up later on during this summer. Until we meet you again with short circuit racing on the 7th of May, it's a very good night from Skegness Stadium.